Hi guys, it's Drea. So today I am doing a video that Jaclyn Hill just did. Yes, I am totally copycatting her video. Is that a word? It's definitely not a word. Anyway, I am just playing copycat. I really want to do this video she did that she came up with. Basically, she did her face half matte and half highlighted, and it was just such a cool concept that I was like, yes, I have to try that. So if you have not seen her video, I will link it below. Definitely go check it out. It was just really cool to see how her face looked. Pretty much the same makeup on both sides, just highlighted on one side and matte on the other. And if you know me, you know I am very oily skin, so I tend to like to be matte a lot, but yet I do add a lot of highlight. So I just think this is going to be a fun learning experience. So I haven't even thought about this. Which side should I do matte and highlighted? Let's do this side highlighted and this side mattified. Okay, so starting with primer, I'm going to use the Urban Decay Optical Illusion Complexion Primer on the matte side. This is a pore filling primer. Normally I would just put this in my T-zone. This is going to be the hard part, trying to keep things like down the middle of the face. This is a pore filling primer. I wouldn't say it's completely like mattifying, but it definitely mattifies a little bit. And the glowiest primer I own is probably this one. This is just a little sample, but this is the Guerlain Meteorites, and this is probably the glowiest primer that I own. It's very liquidy. It's got these little pearls in it that they kind of burst open once you pump it through, and then it gives you kind of a radiant glow from beneath your foundation. For foundation, I figured what could be easier than to just do this. So we've got the L'Oreal Pro Matte Foundation and the L'Oreal Pro Glow Foundation. I mean, how much more easy can it be? So I have the shade 102 and 202. Now, that should be the same level of shade. It's the 02 that matches up. It's just that in the matte, they start with a 1. These, they start with a 2. But I have noticed, just by using this foundation, that the 202 Glow is a little bit lighter of a shade, so hopefully it works out. I don't really want to mix products on the same sponge, so I'm going to use a brush on this side. Normally I would just use a sponge for all foundation, but I don't want to mix the matte and the glow together by accident. And for the Pro Glow side, I'm just going to use a sponge. So upon closer inspection, it does kind of seem like this side is just the slightest bit lighter, but I don't know if that's because it's glowy, because it does look slightly more glowy than the matte side. I don't know if you could tell, but I can definitely tell this is a little bit more glowy. So I'm just going to color correct my dark circles, but I'm using the same product on both sides because that doesn't really make a difference. For concealer, I'm going to use Tarte Shape Tape on the matte side, and I'm going to use the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer on the glowy side, because this, while not like really super glowy, it is definitely a more natural finish and it's not completely matte. I almost feel like I might have made a mistake here, because while this is a matte finish, it's still a very light shade, so it's still highlighting under my eye. I feel like maybe I should have just gone with a total skin tone concealer instead of a brightening one, but I do feel like this side is looking a little bit more natural. I do feel like this side is looking a little bit more natural, a little bit more glowy and skin-like. This is definitely, because it's lighter color, it is highlighted, but it's still a matte look, so I wish I would have thought about that beforehand. So for the glowy side, I'm going to set my under eye. I'm going to do exactly what Jaclyn did in her video. I'm going to set my under eye with the Kat Von D contour powder. I'm going to go for this shade here, which is a little bit more neutral. The middle one's a little bit more yellow. So I'm going to set the glowy side with that. That should give it a little bit more highlighted look. And I'm going to use the Kat Von D translucent loose setting powder on the matte side, because this is a very matte powder. My camera stopped recording, I'm not sure at which point, but I just set my face with these two powders. On the matte side, I'm using the NYX Stay Matte Not Flat powder foundation. I'm laughing just because of the name. Anyway, so this is a very mattifying powder. That's what I used on this side. And on this side, this is a loose powder. It's called the Soft Luminance powder. from e.l.f. It's like got this very, I want to say it's almost like crushed pearls or something. It's just got this real radiance to it, and it's a very light consistency. So if you're dry skin, I think you would probably like this. But so far, looking at the two different sides, I feel like the eye on this side is like very lifted, much more so than this side. I feel like this side looks very heavy under the eye. This shade here in my transition, and I'm going to put that shade in the crease, and I'm going to do that on either eye, and then we'll come back and we'll do a different lid shade on both sides. Well, you guys, my camera hates me today. It shut off and I didn't even realize it till I got to this point. So I almost feel like I want to start over and refilm this whole video, but I just want to trudge through. Let's push through this right now, because it's looking good and I don't want to stop, but geez, this camera's giving me a conniption. Anyway, on the matte side, I use this shade out of the Narsissist palette, so you can see it's just like a really nice classic matte eyeshadow look. And then on the glowy side, what I did was I used the L'Oreal Infallible Amber Brush. And I love both sides equally. Like, I really do. I love either side and the way they ended up looking, but I think you could tell this is definitely just like your more, I don't know, I would use this more like in a professional setting, I think, whereas this side is definitely bringing a little bit more attention to the lid, which is a good thing. So I also use two different eyeliners. I use the Physicians Formula Eye Booster pen on this side, and I use the NYX matte liquid liner on this side. So this is a fully matte liquid liner. This is also a liquid liner, but it doesn't dry fully matte. Not that it has anything to do with highlighting, but I just thought since I have both products, why not? Okay, so I am going to watch my record button like a hawk so I don't have any more issues with recording today. So what I'm going to do, this side is completely done. On this side, I'm just going to take this shade right here and use that as my inner corner highlight and my brow bone highlight. So this side, the matte side, I would say kind of looks a little bit flat. And then the side with the inner corner and brow bone highlight, it has so much more dimension to it now, you know what I mean? So now I'm going to bronze my face. I'm going to use Benefit Hoola bronzer on this side. This is a matte bronzer, and in fact, usually I just use it for, oop. This is a fully matte bronzer. In fact, a lot of the times I will actually use this for contouring. And then this side here, I'm going to use the L'Oreal GlamBronze, and this is a really glowy bronzer. This is what I go to in the summertime for bronzing. It's like so glowy and shimmery. Looking at both sides of my face, I feel like I really like the matte bronzer side better, which is kind of funny because I usually use a little bit more of a shimmery bronzer. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the way that looks. Okay, so here's where we are really going to see a huge difference. I'm going to use Tarte Oasis blush on this side, which is definitely a matte blush. And then on this side, I'm going to use from the Hourglass palette, the Ambient Strobe Lighting Blush Palette. I can never remember the name of that. This is Euphoric Fusion. So this is the shade I'm going to use, and this has like just luminosity built into the blush. So this should be a huge difference. And definitely just no highlighter on this cheekbone, and I'm going to use my Holy Grail highlighter. I figured why not go for it in this video. This is all about highlights, so I'm going to use my Holy Grail. This is Dior 002, and this one is just so gorgeous. So usually when I'm highlighting, I highlight obviously the top of my cheekbone, and I usually take it above my brow a little bit. Sometimes I'll do that little C shape. Sometimes I'll take whatever's left over and go like right here in the middle of my forehead. Not the middle of my forehead, the middle of my eyebrow on my forehead. And I'm just going to highlight this side of my Cupid's bow and lip. And I almost never highlight my chin and nose just because like I I said, I'm super oily, so I always get oily in the T-zone anyway. But just for the sake of the video, just so everybody can see the difference, it's kind of hard to highlight the tip of your nose, but just on one side. I'll just do it on that side and a little bit here. One thing I forgot to do is I want to highlight the inner rim of my waterline on this side of my face. So I'm just going to use, this is called Urban Nude by Estee. It's not available anymore, but it's super pigmented, as you can see, which is why I wanted to use it. I do love using a nude waterline pencil because it does make your eye look a little bit more awake, but at the same time I've always found that once you look a little closely at it, it's kind of a weird effect. Like, look at the two next to each other. This side just looks a little bit more natural and like it's a regular eye, and then this side with that kind of beaming waterline is just a little bit strange once you look at it close up. Am I the only one that feels that way? Let me know, because I've always kind of felt that way, even though I do use a waterline pencil a lot. So just put on some lashes. These are the Ardell Faux Mink lashes in 810. And all that's left is lips and setting spray. So I'm going to put on the YSL Tatouage Couture Matte Stain. This is in the shade number 7. This is like a long wearing matte liquid lipstick. And there's no other way to highlight your lip but this. This is the Huda Beauty Lip Strobe, and this is in the shade Angelic. This stuff is intense. So I'm just going to put that all over the glowy side of the lips. And the last thing to do is just to set this side of my face. I'm going to be using MAC Fix Plus. There is no other product that I go to when I want my skin to look super glowy. So let's try not to get this side Fix Plussed. Okay, let's see the difference in a nice close-up together. First of all, these lips look super weird, don't they? Okay, I really love the way my skin looks on the matte side. It just takes me back to like the 90s when you did not want to be glowy in the 90s. It was all about being matte all the time. But in a way, I just feel like this side of my face looks more skin-like than the glowy side. What do you guys think? I just feel like it looks a lot nicer. It looks a lot more natural. I feel like the eye on this side looks super pretty. I do love the eyeshadow on this side though. Like, if I were to switch this eye to this side of my face with this skin, I would still like, I would love the way that looked. And I also feel like this side, if I just did this exact look but just put a little bit of highlight on the top of my cheekbone, that would probably look absolutely gorgeous too. I really love the bronzer on this side. I feel like it's doing super good things for like my cheekbone. It's really lifting it. Even though I didn't contour today, just the bronzer itself, I feel like really lifted up my cheekbone, and that blush, it's just a good combo. One difference on this side that I really prefer is definitely the inner corner highlight. The brow bone highlight, I do love the way it looks with this eye look right here, and I don't necessarily always need a brow highlight, I don't know, but the inner corner highlight I feel like makes a huge difference. But I really do also love the Cupid's bow highlight. I always love a good Cupid's bow highlight. The nose highlight, I've never really been one for that, so I would definitely kind of do away with that. But the foundation, I feel like now that we're at this point, I don't really see a huge difference to the powder and foundation on this side than I do on this side. I still do feel though like the underside of this eye looks a little bit more lifted than this side. So I think what I've really come away from this learning is that I like matte way more than I thought I did, because I seem to prefer almost everything on this side of my face. But that's an all matte look, whereas an all highlighted look is a little bit much for most people. And I think that's why most of us do a combination. So, you know, don't overdo everything, just strategically highlight different things on your face. So if I were to do everything over again and just do one face, I would do everything on this side the same, except I would add the highlight, my cheekbone, my Cupid's bow, my inner corner, possibly also my brow bone, and I would just put that over on this side. The lid color, I could probably also transfer that over, but I do really love this as well. But everything else on this side, I would leave exactly the same. So that is it for today. If it's your first time joining me on my channel, thank you so much. I would love it if you would subscribe. I put up 3 videos a week, every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And that is it for today. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. That helps me out a lot. I hope that you're having a great day. I hope that you're speaking kindly to yourself and treating yourself well. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.